Plenum-rated wire is required under a data center raised floor for several critical reasons, primarily related to fire safety and air quality. Data centers often use raised floors to manage cabling and provide efficient cooling. These underfloor spaces frequently serve as air plenums, which are designated areas for the circulation of air used for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning or HVAC systems. Consequently, any materials within these plenums, including wiring, must meet specific safety standards to minimize the risk of toxic fumes in the event of a fire. Firstly, the primary concern is fire safety. Standard non-plenum rated cables, when burned, release significant amounts of smoke and toxic gases. These fumes can quickly spread throughout the data center via the HVAC system, posing a severe threat to human health and potentially causing extensive damage to sensitive electronic equipment. Plenum-rated cables are designed to resist burning and to produce minimal smoke and toxic fumes. They are constructed with special insulation materials that have a higher fire resistance and lower smoke production compared to standard cables. Secondly, the National Electrical Code or NEC mandates the use of plenum-rated cables in plenum spaces. The NEC, specifically Article 300.22 C, addresses wiring in ducts, plenums, and other air handling spaces. This section requires that cables installed in these spaces must be listed as plenum-rated, ensuring that they meet stringent fire safety standards. Compliance with the NEC is essential for ensuring the safety of building occupants and protecting property. Thirdly, the construction and materials of plenum-rated cables differ significantly from those of non-plenum-rated cables. Plenum cables typically use Teflon or other fluorinated polymers for insulation and jacketing. These materials are more expensive than the polyvinyl chloride or PVC commonly used in non-plenum cables, but they offer superior fire resistance and lower smoke production. The high cost of plenum cables is a necessary investment for ensuring safety in plenum spaces. Fourthly, the testing and certification process for plenum-rated cables is rigorous. Cables must undergo testing by independent testing laboratories such as Underwriters Laboratories or UL to verify that they meet the requirements for flame resistance and smoke production. These tests include the Steiner tunnel test, which measures the flame spread and smoke density of cables under fire conditions. Cables that pass these tests are listed and labeled as plenum-rated, providing assurance that they meet the required safety standards. Fifthly, the installation of plenum-rated cables requires careful consideration of the specific requirements outlined in the NEC. Cables must be properly supported and secured to prevent damage and ensure that they do not obstruct airflow. The NEC also specifies requirements for cable routing and separation to minimize the risk of interference and ensure that cables are accessible for maintenance and repair. Sixthly, the use of plenum-rated cables is not limited to data centers. Any space that is used for air handling, such as suspended ceilings in office buildings or return air pathways in commercial buildings, may require the use of plenum-rated cables. The specific requirements depend on the local building codes and the design of the HVAC system. It is essential to consult with a qualified electrical engineer or building inspector to determine the appropriate wiring requirements for a particular application. Seventhly, the benefits of using plenum-rated cables extend beyond fire safety. These cables also offer improved resistance to chemicals and moisture, making them suitable for use in harsh environments. The superior insulation materials used in plenum cables can also provide better signal integrity, reducing the risk of data loss or interference. Eighthly, the selection of plenum-rated cables should be based on the specific requirements of the application. Factors to consider include the type of cable, the gauge of the conductors, the length of the run, and the environmental conditions. It is essential to choose cables that are rated for the voltage and current requirements of the equipment they will be serving. Ninthly, the maintenance and inspection of plenum-rated cables are essential for ensuring their continued safety and performance. Cables should be periodically inspected for damage such as cuts, abrasions, or exposure to chemicals. Damaged cables should be replaced promptly to prevent the risk of fire or electrical shock. Tenthly, the cost of plenum-rated cable should be considered in the overall budget for a data center or other building project. While Plenum cables are more expensive than non-Plenum cables, the cost is justified by the enhanced safety and performance they provide. Failure to use Plenum-rated cables in Plenum spaces can result in fines, project delays, and potentially catastrophic consequences in the event of a fire. 11thly, the proper grounding and bonding of Plenum-rated cables are essential for preventing electrical noise and ensuring the safety of personnel. Grounding and bonding should be performed in accordance with the NEC and other applicable standards. The grounding system should be designed to provide a low impedance path for fault current to return to the source, minimizing the risk of electrical shock. 12thly, the use of cable trays and other cable management systems can help to organize and protect Plenum-rated cables. Cable trays provide a physical support for cables, preventing them from sagging or becoming tangled. Cable management systems can also help to improve airflow and reduce the risk of overheating. 13thly, the selection of connectors and other accessories for Plenum-rated cables should be based on the specific requirements of the application. Connectors should be compatible with the type of cable being used and should be rated for the voltage and current requirements of the equipment they will be serving. Accessories such as cable ties and labels can help to organize and identify cables, making it easier to maintain and troubleshoot the system. 14thly, the training of personnel who install and maintain Plenum-rated cables is essential for ensuring that the work is performed safely and correctly. Personnel should be familiar with the requirements of the NEC and other applicable standards, as well as the specific procedures for installing and terminating Plenum-rated cables. Proper training can help to prevent mistakes and ensure that the system is installed and maintained in accordance with best practices. 15thly, the documentation of the cable installation is essential for future maintenance and troubleshooting. The documentation should include a detailed layout of the cable runs, a list of the types and quantities of cables used, and the results of any testing performed. This information can be invaluable for future maintenance and troubleshooting efforts. 16thly, the use of Plenum-rated conduit is an alternative to using Plenum-rated cables in some applications. Plenum-rated conduit is a type of rigid or flexible conduit that is designed to be used in Plenum spaces. Conduit provides additional protection for cables and can help to contain smoke and flames in the event of a fire. 17thly, the selection of Plenum-rated material should extend beyond cables to include other components such as cable ties, labels, and raceways. All materials installed in Plenum spaces should be tested and certified to meet the same fire safety standards as Plenum-rated cables. 18thly, the integration of fire detection and suppression systems is critical in data centers and other facilities where Plenum spaces are used. Fire detection systems can provide early warning of a fire, allowing for prompt evacuation and suppression efforts. Fire suppression systems can help to extinguish a fire quickly, minimizing damage and preventing the spread of smoke and toxic fumes. 19thly, the ongoing monitoring of the cable installation is important to identify any potential problems before they become serious. Regular inspections should be conducted to check for damage, overheating, or other signs of distress. Any problems identified should be addressed promptly to prevent the risk of fire or electrical shock. 20thly, the use of low-voltage cabling in Plenum spaces also requires careful consideration. Low-voltage cables, such as those used for data communications and control systems, must also be Plenum-rated if they are installed in Plenum spaces. The requirements for low-voltage cabling are similar to those for power cabling, with the emphasis on fire safety and minimal smoke production. 21st, the selection of Plenum-rated wire needs to meet the relevant standards. Understanding the different types of Plenum-rated cables is important for selecting the right one for a specific application. Common types include communication cables like Cat6 or fiber optic, and power cables for electrical equipment. Each type has specific performance characteristics such as data transmission speed or current carrying capacity that must be considered. 22nd, the NEC provides detailed guidelines on how to properly install and support cables in Plenum spaces. These guidelines cover aspects such as cable spacing, support intervals, and methods for securing cables to prevent sagging or damage. Following these guidelines is essential to ensure that the cables perform as intended and do not pose a safety hazard. 23rd, data centers are dynamic environments where equipment and cabling configurations can change frequently. When making changes to the cabling infrastructure in a data center, it is important to ensure that all new cables installed in Plenum spaces are Plenum rated. It is also important to verify that the existing cables are still in good condition and meet the current safety standards. 24th, regular inspections of the cabling infrastructure can help identify potential problems before they lead to costly downtime or safety hazards. These inspections should include checking for damaged cables, loose connections, and improper cable routing. Any issues identified should be addressed promptly to prevent further damage or safety risks. 25th, in the event of a fire in a data center, Plenum-rated cables can help to minimize the spread of smoke and toxic fumes, giving occupants more time to evacuate safely. By using Plenum-rated cables, data center operators can reduce the risk of injury or death due to smoke inhalation. 26. The use of Plenum-rated cables can also help to protect sensitive electronic equipment from damage due to smoke and corrosive gases. These gases can damage electronic components, leading to equipment failure and data loss. By minimizing the production of these gases, Plenum-rated cables can help to extend the lifespan of electronic equipment. 27th, some insurance companies may require the use of Plenum-rated cables in data centers as a condition of coverage. Failure to comply with these requirements could result in higher insurance premiums or denial of coverage in the event of a fire. 28th, the installation of Plenum-rated cables may require specialized tools and equipment. For example, some Plenum cables may require special cutting tools to prevent damage to the insulation. It is important to use the right tools and equipment to ensure that the cables are installed properly and safely. 29th, the termination of Plenum-rated cables also requires careful attention to detail. It is important to use the correct connectors and follow the manufacturer's instructions to ensure a reliable connection. Improper termination can lead to signal loss, data corruption, or even electrical hazards. 30th, Plenum-rated cables are available in a variety of colors and sizes to meet the needs of different applications. Color coding can be used to identify different types of cables or to differentiate between different circuits. Cable size should be selected based on the current carrying capacity and voltage drop requirements of the application. 31st, the labeling of Plenum-rated cables is important for identifying them and tracking their location. Labels should be durable and easy to read, and they should be securely attached to the cables. Cable labels can also include information such as the cable type, circuit number, and date of installation. 32nd, the routing of Plenum-rated cables should be carefully planned to minimize the risk of damage or interference. Cables should be routed away from heat sources, sharp edges, and other potential hazards. They should also be routed in a way that minimizes the risk of electromagnetic interference or EMI. 33rd, the supporting of Plenum-rated cables is essential to prevent sagging or damage. Cables should be supported at regular intervals using cable ties, cable trays, or other approved supports. The spacing between supports should be determined based on the cable type, size, and weight. 34th, the protecting of Plenum-rated cables from physical damage is important to ensure their long-term reliability. Cables should be protected from abrasion, impact, and other potential hazards. Protective measures can include using cable trays, conduit, or other physical barriers. 35th, the maintaining of Plenum-rated cables in good condition is essential for ensuring their continued safety and performance. Cables should be inspected regularly for damage, and any damaged cables should be replaced promptly. Regular maintenance can help to prevent costly downtime and safety hazards. 36. The NEC includes specific requirements for the identification of conductors in Plenum spaces. Conductors should be identified by color coding, marking tape, or other approved means. Proper identification can help to prevent accidental contact with live conductors and ensure the safety of personnel. 37th, the NEC also includes specific requirements for the separation of power and communication cables in Plenum spaces. Power cables should be separated from communication cables to minimize the risk of interference. The separation distance should be determined based on the voltage and current levels of the power cables. 38th, the NEC requires that all electrical work in plenum spaces be performed by qualified electricians. Qualified electricians have the training and experience necessary to perform electrical work safely and in accordance with the NEC. Using qualified electricians can help to prevent mistakes and ensure that the electrical system is installed and maintained properly. 39. The local building codes may also include specific requirements for the installation of plenum-rated cables. It is important to consult with the local building department to ensure that all applicable codes are followed. Compliance with local building codes can help to ensure the safety of building occupants and protect property. 40th, the AHA or authority having jurisdiction has the final say on whether or not plenum-rated cables are required in a particular application. The AHA may have specific requirements or interpretations of the NEC that must be followed. It is important to consult with the AHA to ensure that the electrical system meets all applicable requirements. Therefore, the requirement to use plenum-rated wire under a data center raised floor is not merely a suggestion, but a codified safety measure essential for protecting life and property.